So I guess the moral of the story here is these traditional shower pans have problems. All right, welcome to Tile Coach. Glad you're here checking out another one of my videos. Well, today I'm coming back to an old job. I did this job, the shower, 16 years ago. And the homeowner, who happens to be a friend of mine, he's my cabinet installer, called me on Saturday and said, hey, I have a leak in my shower and it's coming down through the ceiling of my garage. So that's where we're at. So check this out. Here's the garage. This is what we got going on. I came over and at the time it was dripping. He had just used it and everything was dripping down. This is where the drain is at. And then you can also see just some of the water stains on the plywood above. I think what we have here is clogged weep holes because since this shower is 16 years old and for it to just start leaking like right now, I don't think it's like a tear in the pan liner or anything like that. I think it would most likely be something that's happening and as water builds up and comes out. That's just usually from my experience. Usually if it's gonna leak, it's gonna leak within the first couple of years. But for it to go 16 years with no problems, I said, so you hadn't had any problems at all before now? And he said, no. He said, we just showed up a couple weeks ago. It just started dripping. So let's go inside and check it out. I'll show you what we got going on. That's one of the things when you're in business long enough, you know, I've had my tile company since 2003. You know, you're gonna run into these old jobs and callbacks. I am pretty confident that I did a really good job on this shower. I did it myself. It's not like I hired it out or anything. So I'm feeling pretty good that I did everything the right way, the correct way. Yeah, I also did the backsplash in here. This is a classic design, you know, a lot of traditional moldings. The rhomboid shape was a pretty, almost like a harlequin pattern here, was popular. Again, this was 16 years ago, but this is aged just beautifully. I love how it still looks. It's really neat for me to come back and look at my work and see how I kind of laid things out. I remember this was a pretty tricky pattern to keep the lines going all the way through the picture frame. I think when I started it out, I tried to do full tiles, and then I did it all and realized that the joints were off once I did that. But beautifully executed, looks great. These quarter round trims give it that nice traditional look. And here with you can see all this detail. This was a lot of cuts. A lot of planning out, quarter rounds. We call these out corners beaks. I love ceramics. I just love the look of ceramic tile. It's kind of got a pillowed edge on it, so it's got a real soft look. Nice thick grout joints, beautiful grout joints. See how nice these sanded grout joints look when you do them well? I mean, I just think it looks really artistic, very handcrafted look. But yeah, check it out. I mean, the detail on here. Look, check out this layout. I don't even know where I started the layout. Layout had to be centered here. And I happened to get a full tile and half here. Same thing as I go into this window, full tile here, half. Full tile half there, and then ended up with full tiles and halves here. So this thing laid out amazing. I probably stretched the grout joint out just a little bit to make everything work that way, but that's one of the things about a handcrafted tile is that a lot of it depends on the artisan installing it. I wouldn't say there's a right way to lay this thing out. Well, they're usually better and best, but a lot of the craft and the art is how you lay out these tiles. Again, I hit full tile right here, fulls and halves here, fulls and halves here. So literally I got fulls and halves at every critical juncture, finished at a full tile also, fulls and halves. So this type of stuff puts a smile on my face. You know, I mean, sometimes it's the luck of the draw too. I mean, obviously this space wasn't designed for this specific tile. Sometimes, you know, you get on a job and the layout just goes perfect and it just puts a smile on my face. I love coming back and seeing my work that I've done 16 years ago and it's still being used, still looking beautiful. And that makes me feel like I'm doing something right, you know? Yeah, so these gray ones are a glass tile, but they're the same exact size as the ceramic there. Awesome. So happy with how everything's still looking in here. So yeah, hopefully I can get this shower fixed up for him. Yeah, so we did this nice bathroom, marble floors. This has Dietrich heat floor in it, and it's held up really well. Everything looks really good. Nice marble job. It looks like we do have a little bit of cracked grout here, but everything sounds solid. That could have something to do from the leaky tile, but it's not cracked or anything. All sounds solid. Yeah, so the marble floor looks good. We do have what looks like some water damage on the baseboard here, or the casing here. He pulled the base on this side, and I don't see much water damage here, which typically when the showers fail from wicking over, you know, the pan liner or the curb, usually shows up in these areas first. We do have a little bit of cracked grout on here, but that could be from normal settling and whatnot. But so I'm gonna grab some tools. Oh, I did the entry floor in here too. This is a Scabos travertine Versailles pattern and goes really well with kind of their natural warm tones of the red mahoganies or whatever wood this is. Everything works really well. This is Derek and Heidi. I've known Derek for, I actually was on his track team in high school. He was older than me, and he's a really good athlete. He held some team records at our high school, Nevada Union in Grass Valley. He ended up going on to be a Division I athlete in the decathlon. He went to LSU, so really good athlete. Super cool guy, has a beautiful family. They're awesome, love them. Yeah, so I'm really motivated to get this thing done for him and without tearing it out. One thing Derek did that I'm a little concerned with, and I might be able to fix it, is that it looks like he's got silicone on this. I think this was a compression. This is one of the compression Odie cast iron drains. It's a compression fitting. It's not a threaded connection. You see he's got the trap back here and it's coming up, and then this is a Street 90. He's got a Street 90, which, you know, you can do that, but the Street 90 is going right up into the compression fitting. And it looks like he's got some silicone, so I don't know if that's leaking, but if that's leaking, we'd be able to see it from down here because that's below the whole pan liner system. He did cut out this notch. You know, you're not really supposed to notch these TGI joists, but you know, it's pretty close to the load bearing, you know, wall here. But yeah, that's probably not great to have that much of the TGI notched out. But let's get this opened up from the top and see if those weep holes are clogged. It looks like it's drying out pretty good because I was here on Saturday, like I said, and it was dripping. This whole thing was wet. It's still wet up here, and you can see the black stains. So I think it's probably been Yeah, and even up here you can see it pretty good. So it is drying out. So, okay, well, let's open it up there. So here's the shower, man. I mean, I love coming back to my old jobs and seeing the work that we did. This is a pretty classic design with the 3x6 subway tile. Did some herringbone, penny round inlay. I mean, it's a beautiful design. Again, I believe I set all the tile myself on this one. I might have had Mark Hole helping me with it, but I definitely did the bulk of the tile installation. I know I floated it. Pretty cool arch detail here too. Yeah, I love how this arch detail came out. Very nice. But yeah, what we have here is a pan liner install, and it's got a cast iron drain, and I can see the red pan liner. This is the red PVC pan liner. So he reported to me that before he noticed it start leaking, he said he did a power wash. And I don't know exactly what he meant by that, but he had a floor cleaning machine, and he basically pressure washed this whole shower. So there's a ton of water going down. And I think, this is what I suspect. I suspect that the weep holes are clogged and everything would just backed out and over. Oh, and here's the other cool thing. This is awesome. They have plenty of this old tile left. I mean, it's pretty unusual that a homeowner has enough tile to do repairs 16 years after the installation, but they have plenty of the floor tile, so I can be pretty liberal and take, you know, a good section of this mortar bed out, get down there so I can inspect the weep holes, unclog the weep holes, and then hopefully that fixes the problem. Probably, if we have enough tile to do a one row repair, we might be able to do this whole thing, but that would only be if the pan liner was leaking and we couldn't fix things down through the weep holes. Let me get into this. I think Lance, we'll start by cutting this out, getting down to the weep holes, and see if those weep holes are clogged. All right, it's pretty funny because, well, I don't know if funny is the right word or ironic, but I bought this tool and I used it on a video we did last week for cutting a tile-in grate that wasn't draining. If you want to see that video, I'll put the link in the description. But in it, I was going, man, this is such a neat tool. I really like it. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I'm sure something will come up. And this repair, sure enough, 3 days later, I get a shower failure that was something I did. So careful what you wish for, because now I have a really good purpose for this. I'm going to cut out the grout around this drain here, and then I'm going to use my cordless Metabo chipping hammer with a chisel on it, and that should get most of it. But this little Proxxon tool's perfect for these little grout repairs, doing repairs when you need to get into tight spots. Cordless, got a variable speed on it, got a nice little diamond wheel for it. So here we go. careful. I don't want to go down too deep because the pan liner's down there. So I'm trying to be careful to just chisel out carefully from the top down. Usually this deck mud, once you get into it, it gets pretty soft. Yeah, see, there's my spacer. So I use spacers as the weed protection in here. I'm getting down close to the bottom here. Okay, so getting down here, it's a bummer. You know, I chipped this tile. I really didn't want to chip this one, but I'll have to take that one out. But that's the reason why I cut that grout, is so that didn't happen. But that looks like, yeah, that's the only one that I got. No biggie. But what we have here is, you can see my wheat protection. I'm trying to be careful as I get down closer in here, but you see my spacers. Looks like I put spacers and some chunks of marble. The problem with these cast iron drains is, you see I got some rust buildup, and these weep holes in these cast irons, I mean, look at this. This is all rust right here. I mean, it's just, they get clogged up with either rust or calcium deposits. And I wish these cast iron drains had better weep hole, you know, had bigger weep holes so that we could protect them better. But this is an important step. You do want to protect the weep holes with gravel or spacers or something that the mortar can't get jammed up in there. But what I'll do, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to remove the mortar from around here, and then maybe what I can do, Lance, is like maybe pour some water in there and see if it drains. So yeah, look at all those spacers that I have in there. So I definitely had plenty of weep protection in there. There's all kinds of spacers and gravel and whatnot in there. Okay, so you could see that, so I put a little bit of water in here. I'm going to try to put a little bit more in here. Oh, is that? There we go. It should be that one. So you can see we do not have any weep hole action going on. Even though I protected these weep holes, I mean, I got a ton of stuff in here. I mean, I had a bunch of spacers. You know, here's a piece of pea gravel. I mean, I had this thing really, really protected well. I mean, more than even I would usually do it. So I did a really good job with the weep protection here. But you can see those weep holes definitely aren't working. So I think what happened, as he was pressure washing, introducing a ton of pressure and water to this pan, it was just backing up, and it had nowhere to go except up over. I mean, the pan liner is probably sitting somewhere up in here, so it probably just wicked up and over and went down into the wall cavity, and it was just escaping out that way. That's what I think anyways. So I guess, you know, always start with the easiest thing first, right? The easiest thing first would be to unclog these weep holes, get this thing weeping well, leave the bottom open, and maybe we just kind of keep running the water for a little bit, not close the lid up downstairs, just kind of be able to keep an eye on it, making sure it keeps drying out. This is also one of the reasons, you know, I've been doing this for a long time now been able to use these methods that are used. I mean, this type of pan liner, one coat float walls, I mean, there's millions of these installs in California. This is the way to do it. I mean, everything that was done here was done by the book, correctly how it should be done. Yet here we are 15 years later with a failure. This is also one of the reasons why I advocate now for a sealed system. Instead of having, you know, water get down and have to drain to these weep holes, why don't we just put the waterproofing directly underneath the tile? Then you don't have wet mortar, you don't have the possibility of wicking, you don't have weep holes that could get clogged. And that's why you see me using systems like the Tile Redi pans, which are a completely sealed system. There's no mortar to wick through, or the Flow Effects no flow membrane with the Flow Effects flange. Again, all of the waterproofing is surface. I did a project about a year ago for a customer in my area, and her boyfriend was from Norway, and he kind of splits time between the United States and Norway. And he was researching how to do a shower, and he was completely baffled because he said, well, in Norway and Sweden, we have one way to do it, and that's a sealed system using sheet membrane. There's no pan liners, there's no traditional wheat pans. He goes, I think in America, they should just have one system to use. And I go, you're preaching to the choir, man, because too many different systems lead to too much confusion between the different methods. And I think it would really cut down on a lot of failures if we just went to the one system, which would be a sealed system like a Tile Redi or Flow Effects, Schluter-Curdy, any of those bonded membrane systems. I think we should update our codes and just do them. Let's get rid of the pan liners, let's get rid of the hot mops. I know that's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but they fail. Here's one I did completely by the book, and it's failing 15 years later. I did one down in Manhattan Beach earlier this year. Hot mop, done correctly, failing, water spilling out over the curb underneath the tile. It's like people think that the system works because yes, the hot mop is waterproof. Yes, the pan liner is waterproof. But if it's not weeping, or if the wall or curb can wick moisture from the pan up and out, then we got a bad system with a lot of failures. So that's just my 2 cents. I think it will go that way. I think it's just a matter of time. I'm going to see if I can take the top portion of this flange off so that I can clean the weep holes. And I don't know if I put sealant in between. I shouldn't have put sealant between here and here, but we'll see. I'm going to see if I can get these bolts off. And I've heard people say that, oh, cast iron drains don't rust. It's like, yeah, right. Look how rusty all of that water is right there. So you can see, I mean, the pan is weeping a little bit. The water has gone down, but definitely not what it needs to be. Okay, so hopefully I can just kind of pry this bottom flange off. Yep, there we go. So we'll even see, so the weep holes are supposed to be right here. Weep hole here. Oh no, that's the bolt holes. So those three are bolt holes. The weep holes, you can see that's where a weep hole is supposed to be. It's completely blocked from the top. Even though we had spacers and gravel, this rust and whatever the black stuff is, I think it's just a form of rust. Yeah, and this one, it's non-existent. There's nothing even there. So there was one weep hole that came loose when I broke it up, but we'll go clean out these weep holes from down below and reinstall this drain, and hopefully that'll fix it. I'm going to go ahead and wire brush this guy, try to get it nice and cleaned up. But yeah, one of these weep holes is, watch, I'll punch this one out. It's got a little pebble that's connected to it. But yeah, so that just rusted on. And You know, like this pebble is rusted onto to there as well. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, so I was trying to get the castle nut off of the cast iron drain there because I really don't feel good about leaving this setup. You can see how he's just got silicone gooped all the way around that street 90 where it connects into the cast iron. Yeah, that compression sleeve came loose, and the cast iron threads are they're just welded in there. There's no way. I was banging with a screwdriver. I tried to clean it out with a wire brush. I tried WD-40, and anything short of heating this whole thing up with a torch and banging it, that castle nut's not going to come out. So basically, this drain needs to be replaced, and in order to do that, we need to do at least a full pan replacement with one row up the wall. But there's a lot of water in here. Now that I look up in here, I can see there's a ton of water and rot. See, there's water all the way back there. It's wet, it's black, and I'm just thinking there's probably going to be some rot, you know, somewhere in there. I think we have to get this pan liner out of there, unfortunately. It just went on too long. I wouldn't feel good about leaving this. As much as I want to do a repair here, I'm just not thinking our original plan is going to work. But there's dripping water, and you know, it's just not good. There comes a certain point where it's just too much. Ethically, I would not feel good about just closing this back up. And so I would also recommend moving the drain. That way we can get a good drain connection, and then we could at least sister up this joist to give it some help, because yeah, it's been butchered up. It is really a bummer though. I was all excited, man. I was like, oh, we're gonna go in, we're gonna unclog these weep holes and do a quick fix. We got plenty of floor tile to do it, and that would have been really, really cool to be able to do that. So I'm bummed, but that's what it is. You know, I sat there with Lance in the shower for about 15 minutes going, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? But the right call is getting this thing fixed the right way. I want this shower to last a lifetime. And so I guess the moral of the story here is these traditional shower pans have problems. You know, you can do everything completely right, do everything by the book, and as long as that water is able to wick up the wall, you're going to have problems. As long as the weep holes will get clogged, and these cast iron weep holes, they just get clogged. They usually have, what I've seen, a lifespan of between, like, I don't know, 6 and 8 years. That's when usually we start seeing the problems. You see the curbs that are breaking over and over again. I mean, I've probably done probably 10 remodels in the last 2 or 3 years that were all a result of clogged weep holes, the water wicking up and over, and swelling up the curb, cracking the tiles. So what I propose to do when I come back in here is I want to do a flow effects drain, flow effects membrane, and get it done. I would do a Tile Redi pan, but Tile Redis are really hard to do repairs when you're leaving the wall. We'll customize it, figure out a good place to put the drain, but there's plenty of wall tile, so we can do a 1-row repair going all the way around, get everything out, get the pan liner out, get all this rotten wood out of there, change out the drain, refloat it, flow effects flange, flow effects membrane, wrap it up the wall, curb corners and everything. We don't have very many of the bullnose tiles left, so if I can't get the bullnose out of there, we'll probably have to use maybe a solid surface curb, which wouldn't be a big deal. And That way they're only doing the one row repair. And then we also have to, you know, propose, you know, how much do you like the existing shower? Because by the time you do all that work, you could have torn out the whole shower and redone it. So I'm gonna have to have some conversations with Derek about what he wants to do. I definitely want to help him out though, because this is a shower that I did and I expected it to last a lifetime. I mean, I really did. I guess this is kind of a to be continued since I don't have the answer for you. Make sure that you have your notifications on, you're subscribed to the channel so that you can see what we end up doing here. But whatever we do, we're gonna fix it right. I can guarantee you that. So, you know, some days you make money, some days you make friends. I love you. I love being your tile coach. We'll see you on the next video.